Yep, definitely agree with that. And I think with that, we're probably about going. And here we go, spawning on the north of the map. We have MarineLorD playing HRE, a very, very popular pick on Boulder Bay recently. Currently looking very good in this series. Probably the meta pick when you can't pick France. So to remind the audience watching this, you cannot pick France on this map. We'll take a little look at the south of the map and see what Blackwidow's done, his challenger who has picked Rus. Now, of course, Rus do have a number of advantages on water maps, including the Ladoya attack ships and the fact that their fishing boats don't need to drop off at the dock. So it is quite an interesting meta pick. Taking a little look at that map, that looks like a very, very good even map from my first instinct. Looking at those deep water fish, it looks like they've both got deep water fish pretty outside their base. So I would say roughly equidistant. Black Widow might have his slightly closer, but you'd have to say on balance, it's pretty balanced. It seems to be pretty fair, especially for a map that can be problematic. So that's definitely good to see that there shouldn't be hard luck stories with this one.
And here's the deal. For Black Widow, it does not matter that the deep fish is far. This is one of the things I wanted to highlight with the Rus. That the Rus just has such a good way of dealing with problems on this map. The problem that your opponent can pick up relics and capitalize on Ragni's Cathedral, you can cap it, or you can prevent that with your warrior monks. But also, what happens if you have a dock that's so far away from deep fish, like MarineLorD's one? You will just be able to use your Lodya ships that do not need to drop off food. These guys can just chill in here, and they never need to go back, so it really doesn't matter for Black Widow where his deep fish is. It could be all the way out here for what it matters. And we also have to keep in mind that even if he loses water, he could just try to hide those ships on the right side on one droplet of deep fish, because it's very, very difficult to find it, especially if your opponent is going for slow ships like Hawks in Castle Age.
Yeah, and as we've seen recently with the water meta, the issue is water can just swing in one demolition. We've seen that repeatedly on this map. It just takes one good explosion of a demolition ship and your entire water strategy can just be absolutely bombed in a second. So definitely anything can happen, but it looks like, I mean, they're both going to make a challenge for the early water. I mean, purely from a water military perspective, who are you thinking has got a better chance of winning this water battle?
The HRE is easier to play, I believe. That's your most straightforward civilization. The Rus have its window, especially when it comes to early aggression, but you have to use the Rus perfectly in order to be able to capitalize on that. But you see, Black Widow even skipped the otherwise very standard hunting cabin for the Rus. He skipped adding additional scouts, so he sort of sacrificed all the bounty in exchange for being able to go up to Feudal Age, but he's facing a bit of a trouble here. He doesn't have any gold miners, so he has to get the gold he needs for Feudal Age using the bounty system. But that takes some time because he ran out of huntables here, so you see he's already floating enough food for Feudal Age, but not enough gold. That's going to delay his uptime a tiny bit.
That was more than a tiny bit, wasn't it? That was like a You'd have to. That was about a 25-second difference that he's had that food for. So that's a massive difference between those two extra deer being there to get it quicker and not. But I mean, in the end, he will get up. It might not be the difference maker. Going up with the Golden Gate, which definitely to be expected on any map, but especially on a water map where he's going to have an abundance of food. So no big surprises there. Is MarineLorD looking to age up? How is he doing?
MarineLorD is very far from aging up. Remember that he is in the need to mine gold. He had to make a prelate, which costs gold for him as well, so there is some time until it returns its value. And, of course, he has the fishing ships working on shorefish, which is much more inefficient than the fishing ships working on deep fish out here. Last but not least, what I love about this Golden Gate here for Black Widow is that it is basically very similar to the approach that the French take on this map with the Chamber of Commerce. You get a lot of food from your fishing eco, you want to sell that. And you can do that in a very efficient way with the Golden Gate. So, in certain ways, it's actually slightly better than the French Chamber of Commerce. You can only make one transaction, but that transaction is a lot more efficient at the beginning of Feudal Age.
Yeah, no, that's definitely going to be really useful. And we're seeing some aggression from Black Widow. I really like this. This is This is really, really interesting to see. What is MarineLorD going to do to... Oh no, he's just going to... Okay, he's stealing the deep water fish from his opponent. That's what he's doing here, which I really like because, as you've said, MarineLorD really does care very much about these deep fish and exactly where they are. Blackwidow couldn't care at all, so he's just going to nick it all from his opponent. Doesn't need to go and drop it off. I really like it, and now he's going to start harassing at the same time. This is good play. I don't know what... Is MarineLorD going to be able to defend water from this position right now? This is really early aggression. What is the answer here from MarineLorD?
It's a difficult thing, because this is the power of the Rus. Rus is probably the best early aggression water save in the game. You can pull all your fishing ships and convert them to combat ships right on the battlefield. Now, these combat ships are rather weak. They only have 400 HP, so they're much weaker than a galley. But you already have quite a lot of them, so they can basically idle all the fishing eco of MarineLorD. And also, you already have quite a lot of them on the battlefield, so you don't need to wait for the galleys like MarineLorD does.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I actually really like Blackwidow's opening here. I think this is really, really smart. There are a lot of resources invested into those docks and water from MarineLorD already, and if he's denied water really early at this point, that's going to be very, very significant. I mean, I'm just trying to think of MarineLorD's options to try and deal with this at this point, because I mean, is that water lost already? It feels like water is already lost at the 6-minute mark.
It's possible. The thing is that the moment that galley pops out, it's gonna be shot at by those Lodya ships. On the other hand, those Lodya ships are rather weak. It's only 400 HP as opposed to 550, so especially if you got the fishing ships preparing for MarineLorD, he might be able to take a good fight here.
Yeah, he's going to take a good... I feel that just about... Oh, he's doing a good job repairing them. This is... I mean, but at least he's denying the food economy. But is that... Has it gone down? No, he's not actually... Oh, this is really smart play here from MarineLorD. So, I mean, these Ladoya ships are going to start going down, and he's not even actually lost one yet. They're going in and out. Look at that micro. That is fantastic micro from MarineLorD, and he's actually repelled it. He's actually repelled it, causing Blackwidow to retreat. That was. He didn't even lose a single ship there. He managed to just micro those fishing ships in and out. Didn't actually leave them for a second longer than necessary to be repairing those. That was pretty spectacular play. He's going to try Blackwidow and remass, but I don't know. Has the window just closed?
Sort of. It's very difficult now, because now your opponent has time to mass those galleys. Those galleys are much stronger when it comes to even numbers. And behind this one, MarineLorD still has his fishing eco. Blackwidow had to convert all his fishing ships into combat ships, so as we speak, his would-be fishing eco is just now going down.
Somehow, just like that, MarineLord's basically won water. He's pushing out. He's got a fishing eco. He's actually got better military on water. Oh, this is really, really big trouble for Blackwidow. There's a score difference already of 300, and the gap looks bigger than 300 in reality in terms of the situation. All of a sudden, Blackwidow's the one in his base desperately trying to repair those ships and repel this. But as you've said, he's trying to defend water, but he's not got any eco to defend on water at this point. He's just trying to not give the entire water to his opponent, and MarineLord's just going to keep harassing now. And look at that, pulling back. Look at that micro. That is fantastic micro. He didn't even lose the one ship. He managed to pull it back, and he's just going to... They're going to just take turns one at a time here, and MarineLord's actually not lost a single ship during this whole thing. There we go, takes up damage, that ship on the left, and he's going to start bringing it back right before it dies. It can take one more shot. He brings it back, doesn't lose it. He's not lost a single ship. This is unbelievable, bringing it back to be repaired. In the meantime, Blackwidow's just lost everything, and he calls GG immediately after 9 minutes. That... I'm a little bit speechless at the barbarity of that play. I mean, I just want to say, Blackwidow is 15th on the ladder with the 70% win rate. He is a very, very good player. Like, the play that we just saw from MarineLorD, that water micro, was genuinely spectacular. That was spectacular water play. Do I see a score of minus 197 there from Blackwidow?
Yes, I'm not sure if it's intentional or it's a bug, but it's 11 kills, 2 deaths to MarineLorD. I don't even know where those 2 deaths occurred, because all I have seen is his ships destroying his opponent's ships. So, yeah, I'm somewhat lost on where those 2 kills happened for Blackwidow, but very, very dominant here for MarineLorD. And this is where I want to channel it back to the Hawks discussion. People have been saying that, okay, Hawks have been nerfed, and this is something that I have been telling the developers that, look, it's one thing that you nerf the armor of the Hawks, but the reason why Hawks are so powerful for the French is because they have a lot of damage output against docks. So when the French win water early on, they can destroy your docks really fast, so you have no chance of coming back. Compare that to the Lodya attack ships over here. Blackwidow has a massive fleet, pushes the fishing geek of the opponent, but he simply can't destroy the docks fast enough to prevent his opponent from massing a navy. That's just the thing with every single archer ship. The problem right now on water, I believe, is that the archer ships are just unable to destroy docks fast enough to potentially prevent an opponent from coming back to water. This being said, MarineLorD had the perfect micro, using the fishing ships as well to repair his combat ships. Once again, just taking crystal clean engagements, and then one decisive engagement is enough to snowball the game. Blackwidow sort of sacrificed everything for this build, because if you remember, he didn't go for additional scouts to ferry in deer, he didn't go for even a hunting cabin for the gold trickle. It was all about that fast feudal attack ships in to deny the water, and then just play from a water control advantage, but it never really happened because of those galleys.
No, I definitely agree with that. The thing is, often this game looked just an absolute demolition, and it was. But if that engagement goes a tiny bit different at the beginning of the game, if those fishing boats are called to repair, 10 seconds too late, and that first ship goes down, the entire complexion of the game is different. But I just can't get over how crisp MarineLorD's decision making and micro was on water just there. Like those fishing boats they were exactly in the spot they needed to be for the entire game. I actually can't believe not only did MarineLorD win water there, that he somehow didn't lose a single ship of any kind. That is just, I mean, unless he might have lost a fishing boat that we missed or something, but for all intents and purposes didn't lose anything. That was absolutely spectacular.